Okay, let's get this spread. So I think I have finally figured out how to make the screen recorder software work in an effective way with my computer, which is great because I just recorded this whole tutorial and then realized you couldn't see my mouse at all. But I think I've solved that problem. I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to make it 1280 pixels wide by 720 pixels tall. And today we're going to be talking about how you can create shape tweens. And this is based on a chapter in the book Learning Adobe Animate CC 2021, which is on O'Reilly database. I'll include a link to that. It's from chapter 5, this exercise. So right now you can see we are inside our Adobe Animate document. And let me fit it in the window. I'm going to start by grabbing the rectangle tool and telling it that I want to create a blue square. And I kind of want a pastelish blue square. How about like that one, 006699, kind of blue. Notice that I have no stroke defined. For our purposes today, we don't want an outside stroke. We just want to have a square with no stroke on the outside. So I will just create my square. And it doesn't look exactly like a square right now, but that's okay. I'm going to highlight that and then go over to the properties window and tell it I want it to be 200 pixels tall. Wide, 200 pixels tall. I will set the X to 30 and the Y will be 250. Okay, so that is my blue square. Now I am going to position my cursor at frame 30, which is 1 second into the animation, and I will right click and select Insert Keyframe. So that's going to be the end point of this animation, the end point of my shape tween. And what we're going to be doing is taking this square and using a shape tween to both move the square and change the shape into that of a star. And this actually answers one of those questions, a very good question. Why would we want to use shapes? The answer is because when we use shapes, we can also use shape tweens. So let me go ahead and now I'm going to move my square to the other side of the stage. And to make sure I kind of stay on the same alignment without having my hand twitch and moving someplace else, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and move it to the right of the stage. And oops, let me try that again. I'm going to just drag over to the right of the stage. And now take a look at my square. I want to make it, say, 900 will be the X, 250 will be the Y. And I want to show you something cool here that we haven't talked about, which is that you can actually turn on rulers in your Animate. You can do that by going to View and selecting Rulers. And we're not really using the rulers in a traditional sense right now, but what we are doing is we're getting access to the guides that are inside of these rulers. If you click and drag down or across from a ruler, you get these non-printing guides. And they can be really, really helpful when you're just trying to line things up on the screen. And really, we just need one of these. So let me get rid of the others. And I'll show you, let's just go ahead and kind of drag this down right around there, just so we have sort of a sense of the horizontal line that this is all moving on. Okay, so we've got our end point, we've got our beginning point over here. And the next step is to just tell it that we want to create a shape tween. And to do that, we right click on the timeline and select Create Shape Tween. And you can see that the timeline turns orange. So here's the beginning, here's the end. You can see a little arrow there indicating that there's a tween happening, and because it's orange, we know it's a shape tween. Now, if I hit the play button, you can see that our square will move from the left to the right. And that's not very interesting right now, and you might be thinking this looks just like a motion tween. Fair point. But let's do something else. I'm going to click now on that final frame, and I'm going to get rid of this square. I'll just hit the delete key. Now watch what happens in the timeline when I do that. So I delete my square, and right away you'll notice in that frame 30 at 1 second, the sort of solid circle, which indicated a filled keyframe, is now empty. And you'll also notice a lot of little dots here in the tween span. That's just indicating that Adobe Animate thinks of this as a broken tween. But have no fear, we're going to fix this. So I am going to create a polystar. I'm going to do that by going and selecting the polystar tool from that shape area, and then looking over in the right in tool options to make sure I've got a star selected with 5 sides, and the star point size I will set to 0.5. And now I will just draw my star. And I'll try to keep it lined up so it's basically horizontal like the other star was. Let me select that star and do a couple things. First of all, I want to keep it the same rough size as my square. So I'm setting the width to 200 and the height to 200. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bigger. Let's just say 250. by 250. Okay, cool. And also, I want to position it at roughly the same point. So I think the y, let's see, what was the y for my square? The y there was 250. So let me go back to my star here and go to the properties and make sure the y here is set to 250 as well. If I go back to the beginning, oops, spoiler there, you kind of saw what's going to happen, but there's the beginning, there's the end. Actually, you know, I'm going to just make this, how about we make this 200 to make it a little taller? There we go. You know, I'm just going to eyeball it. I just kind of want to be like there. Okay. So it doesn't really matter. I just kind of wanted to keep it on the same horizontal. The other thing I want to do is just change that fill color. I'm going to make it, how about more of a sort of reddish color? Okay. So this is the end point here, and this is the beginning point. Now, if I hit play, you can see how it is mutating or transforming or morphing our original blue square into the red star. Now, it's okay, but it's not perfect. It's a little squiggly. And the reason for that is because it's not exactly sure. Like, remember, computers are just stupid. I mean, okay, that's mean to say. Computers lack context. They don't understand any of this. All they know is there's a bunch of dots on the screen. Maybe they think of them as vectors. Maybe they think of them as bitmapped graphics. They don't really understand. So we've got to give them some hints about what we want to try to do. And that's where shape hints come in. We can use shape hints to tell it at the beginning of the shape tween where some key points are. And then we also show it at the end of the shape tween where we want those key points to end up. And it helps the computer make a much more effective shape. So let me zoom in here on my shape. I'll get to about 300%, just to make it easier for all of you to see on the screen. Okay, and now I'm going to go to select Modify Shape, Shape Hints. And notice too that the shortcut there is Command-Shift-8. From now on, that's what I'll be clicking so I don't have to keep going up to the menu. So I'll select my first shape hint. And my first shape hint is going to be A. And A is where, that's going to be the first part of my hint. I'm telling it kind of where I want it to end up. So what I want to do is tell Adobe Animate, you know, where the final points of the star are going to be at the end. And I do that with these shape hints. And I know that I want this top part of my square, like that's going to end up becoming the top part of my star. So I'll put my first shape hint there. Let me get my second one. And the top right corner of this square is going to become the sort of right arm of the star. The bottom right corner of the square is going to become the bottom arm of the star. And the bottom left will become the bottom left arm of the star. And then the upper left will become the upper part of the star, or the left side of the star. So these are my shape hints right here. Now I'm going to zoom out for a second, go back to Fit in Window. Let's go to frame 30, and you'll notice here that it's already kind of ready for us to put in these shape hints on the other end of the tween. You know, I called it stupid. That probably wasn't fair. It's not stupid. It just lacks context and wanted us to give it some help. And so now I will just do this in reverse order. That's the E. I will put it right there. I'm going to put my D down here. And you don't need to be too pixel perfect with this. I mean, it's sort of a trial and error process. You end up having to kind of adjust these things sometimes. But here we go. And now we have our shape hints. Let me fit in the window. Okay, we've got shape hints there. We've got shape hints here. And now when I hit play, it should look a lot more smooth. Yeah, see how those shape hints helped it figure out what parts are going to end up where, and we end up with a much smoother shape animation. And that is how you use shape tweens. Remember, the workflow is that you set the first frame, and then you set the second frame, and then you click on the timeline to create the shape tween.